My music. Go to the media, and my intro is somewhere. Oh, we do this every time. You can tell I'm rusty. And
Welcome, everybody.
it's where the hell is it? This is what it reorders things all the time. I know where it is, and then it's gone.
Hi, this is Mike Ross, public address announcer for your Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is the Leafs Late Night Podcast, your post-game destination. And now, your starting lineup. Roscoe, the Fanalist, Southey, Biehner, and Darty Brodeur on the Leafs Late Night Podcast.
Oh, what a way to welcome it back. Classic me, not knowing where things are. We're live actually on YouTube right now, Justin. I should have mentioned that. We are live streaming because we can, and it's a thing I don't take advantage of enough. So if anybody is here, I should probably pull up the chat somewhere so I can read it.
If anybody's wondering, I don't just have random laundry. My son and I made a fort today, and it's being kept up for a couple days. So that's why there looks like there's sheets hanging off of my wall behind me.
Now that you mention it, there are sheets hanging off the wall behind you. Man, I miss building forts. That's so fun.
So, yeah, how's it going?
Good. Sorry, I actually just got double audio going because I tried to open the live stream there. We got Lukeman in the chat on YouTube here. Have to work, but we'll listen along to you guys. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining, Lukeman. We love you. So it's preseason 1. That wasn't me farting, by the way. That was my hands. I put my hands together and it did that, and I did it right into the mic. And I was really worried for a sec that it sounded like I just started our first show off by farting. So yeah. Anyway, here we are. The Leafs just lost 6-5 in the most Ottawa Sens game possible, where they are absolutely outshot like crazy for a while, and then things even out by the end. I feel like that's every time they play the Sens. It doesn't always even out, but they always allow the Sens to get a ton of shots.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even from how the Matthews era started, right? We started by Matthews scoring 4 goals against Craig Anderson, and then we still lost the game. I don't know if the team just lets up against the Senators. Now, that being said, we can just start off by saying to everybody, we are aware this is preseason.
Oh, yeah.
In the first game of preseason of that.
The name of the game is way too early predictions tonight. So I guess right off the bat, let's go for it. After seeing one game, what is your boldest takeaway for this year, just based off of 60 minutes of preseason?
Boldest takeaway of this year. JT Revenge Tour.
What do you mean? You think it's just going to be he's rocking the A and putting up more points than ever?
He looked like, and yet again, first game of preseason, but he looked like he had a little bit of bite out there that you don't normally see from him. All the pressure's gone. People have been chirping saying that he needs to go. He can't handle the captaincy. Now the captaincy's been handed over. So it's just fueling the fire of, no, they shouldn't have signed him. What a waste of money, waste of cap space. The whole, every single comment from every Toronto media out there. I kind of have a sneaking suspicion he might just go off and say, "Fuck you guys, I'm not done yet."
I like it, and I really hope to see it because, man, he keeps showing flashes of it every year. I mean, last year he started to heat up again after obviously recovering from the injury the previous year. It's he still has a lot left, and if he's going to stick around at that much, he better better continue to put it up. So my way too early prediction is that I don't think OEL finishes the season as a Leaf.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, just personally off of his performance tonight, I know I'm not saying this just off of that one goal that hit him in the back of the foot. He didn't know where it was. I don't think he's going to work well on this team, and I think they're going to have to move on from him before the trade deadline.
See, that's really interesting because honestly, I didn't get to see all of it because Sportsnet yet again made their app even worse, if you could believe it. I didn't mind OEL tonight.
I I just think
Like,
there were. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was like, from what I did catch, he looked like he was confident with his passes. He, has a little bit of size still, but still has the mobility. He almost looked like the OEL of a handful of years ago when he was with the Coyotes.
There were definitely flashes of that. I was definitely 50-50
I meant
on
that in a good
him.
way.
No, I know. I hear what you mean, because there were some parts of the night where I was like, oh, I do like this. And then there was the odd play where I'm like, oh, that's the thing that everybody complained about in Vancouver, and I forget where he ended up after that. But like, just the little mistakes that, if that starts compounding and that becomes like what he is again, like, I'm worried. And I don't know, we'll see. Like I said, it's way too early. It's the first preseason game. It's the name of the game. So that's all. But the game in itself. So we had both goalies in net tonight. Let's start from the back end. Joseph Woll playing the first half and a bit. What do we think of Woll's game?
So I'm going to completely contradict myself here. He looked more agile and flexible than I've seen him before. Not that he ever had an issue with it, but he definitely seemed a little more like he must have worked on that in the offseason, core training, resistance training, whatever he did. His flexibility looked a lot better, a lot more agile. That being said, I've got a little bit of PTSD from him getting hurt so often, sliding across, making some of these saves. I'm just keep thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, man, it's the first game of preseason. Calm down.
Right? Like, some of those flips and everything, like the one goal that went in after he made the dive and then the spin and then the other dive, I'm like, I like what I'm seeing, but oh my God, now that you mention it, there's no reason for him to be doing that right now after how last season ended. Like,
Yeah.
slow it down, buddy. That was such a good point. I was not even thinking that. I was just excited to see that he was back to form and able to do those things. Oh boy.
And what do you know? Look who decides to show up.
Oh, no way. Hello.
How y'all doing?
Good. How about you, Marty?
I'm good.
We were
We're
just
so back.
discussing Joseph Woll and how we feel about him after tonight.
We're so back. Like so
We're
back.
so back, baby.
So back.
How you feeling after preseason 1?
Fine. Hockey's just a fun entertainment thing that people do just for fun, right? You guys?
We don't let 23 men dictate how we feel on a day-to-day basis.
Hockey's just like a fun thing we can do for fun on weekends and not worry too much about like the minutia, the granularities of the game of hockey. I don't know. I thought it was a fun game. It was pond hockey.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it at 6-5. But no, we definitely don't dive too deep into things, especially in preseason game 1. It's definitely not why we record podcasts and read news and all that. Yeah.
Listen to every podcast known to man, and yeah. I mean, talk for hours on Twitter and
yeah. Well, welcome back. So, like I said, we were just discussing Joseph Woll and how he was showing off some acrobatics that maybe he should be keeping for when the real games start.
He looks good. I thought Murray looked good too. I mean, I jumped in the first period and it was 11-1 shots. So, Woll was keeping the team in the game. I mean, if you want to call that a game, it was like literally an exhibition. Like literally, Matthews wasn't even trying at times.
No, and I felt the shot counter didn't really show off the fact that the Leafs had way more dangerous chances through the first period. They just didn't actually get something on net. Like, they were able to break through the Sens like they were absolute butter and just kind of play around. But like you said, they weren't trying hard enough to actually keep the stick on the ice and put it in the back. So
I heard today, and I've never really thought it. I was listening to, I don't know, 3 or 4 podcasts, and they're talking about how vets don't go because exhibition hockey is same-day travel, so the vets don't go on the road. So that's why they had all the big boys playing tonight. which I thought was really funny. And please, sorry that if you've already talked about that.
No.
So
Nope.
the fact that they played all the big boys tonight, because they're like, well, we're not playing on the road, so we're just going to play tonight, boys. So yeah, that's an interesting little nugget that I'd never heard. But, yeah, I thought there's lots of standouts tonight. I mean, my favorite player, as you guys know, is Mitchie, and he looked really good tonight as usual. And but Patches plotted a couple, and he almost had one there at the end. And I don't know. The Sens will have their Stanley Cup, I guess.
Oh,
This is true.
We know the parade's already being planned here in Ottawa. So we got a live stream chat here from Lucas. He said it's surprising how many Finns we have on the roster. I wonder if that's above the league average. Which Finns do we have on the team this year?
The only one that jumps out, Hakanpää is the only one that jumps out at me. I guess
same.
in our system we have some more. Pervinen, I think, is Finnish.
Because I always attribute that to like
Niemela.
Dallas being mostly Finnish players. Like we've even talked about them, in Colorado have like a ton of them.
Yeah,
But,
we've got a lot of Swedish, but that's been pretty much the going rate for the Leafs forever.
Yeah. A lot of Canadians and Swedes always in the Leafs. They mentioned tonight that Matthews is the first American captain. I know we've probably talked about that, but it's surprising after, 26 that none of them have been American until now, but they haven't really had the same presence in the league.
No.
Is that?
Yeah, the first American captain for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you touched on a little bit, Marty. Patches. I know we can jump around a little bit here. Isn't he what we kind of, or at least in this game, isn't he what we kind of expected? Like Thornton or Marlowe, or even to a lesser extent Yarncroke to do, like a more veteran guy come in, calm plays down, and just do the right thing. Like it helps that he's got goal scoring potential, but there was multiple shifts there where even if nothing happened, when he was floating in and around what was going on, it just kind of smoothed everything out and things calmed down a bit.
He's a good player. I think if he makes the team, and it looks like he might, it's hard to say though, because there's a lot of competition, but I'll say that one thing I've always really liked Patches for some reason. I don't know why. I had him on my team. I'd always traded for him in EA Sports. Yeah, super nerdy for me to bring that up. But
No,
I
we talk
always
about it all
liked
the time.
him. Before the injury, I think from whatever, like 2014 to the injury, he had the most game-winning goals 5-on-5. I don't know if anybody knows that, but it's a sneaky little stat. Can thank Anthony Petrielli for that. So I've always liked him, and I think it looks like he's recovered from the injury. So I think he makes the team, and I think he may be kind of what we'd hoped Tyler Bertuzzi would be potentially, which is another option on the power play. Maybe he's I don't know. It's like one game, right? So I don't want to say Patches is in the rocket here. I just think that just scoring depth, pushing some of these guys. Making people think, oh, there's a guy beyond, there's a vet behind me. The vet always is going to get the tie, so that probably means Callan's down to junior in London, or he stays with the team until the World Juniors and then goes back to London. But I think that experience is really valuable in Toronto because the spotlight's so bright, and Patches was a captain in Montreal. He knows about the spotlight, so I think it's a good fit if he's healthy and can contribute. Otherwise, there's lots of wingers now in this system, and you can see that tonight. You got this Krebs guy. The guy looks great. Like even Reeves, you're like, do we need Reeves and this kid, or should we just have the kid, right? So it's intriguing. This camp's gonna be really intriguing.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a big potential to potentially free up some space. I know that's what we're always talking about in Toronto, but like you touched on, do we really need Reeves with Krebs? If Krebs can have that little bit of a bite to him, like personally, I don't think it's going to help Cowan's development anymore going back down to the Knights. He's done everything he can do there. Like he honestly has, similar to the year before Marner came up, like MVP of the regular season, MVP of the playoffs, like just completely dominating his peer group. And yes, there's, the whole Tiger Woods saying of, you have to learn how to win and how to close it out. But you also have to keep challenging yourself and looking for that next challenge. And I think he's at that point now where he can be on the team. So, like we touched on it before we got on a little bit, Roscoe, Yarncroke, Reeves, Camp, like there's a lot of money sitting there, and these guys could, no offense to them, they could very easily be replaced by these lower cost younger players and not see a big decrease in production on the team.
Yeah, it sounds like Young Croak is being shopped. I did read that. And so is Timmins, both of those two players. But it's hard to, it's like, Berube likes Young Croak. He put him on there. He put him on the second line. So, coaches love that guy. And for good reason. He's a safe winger, plays defensively strong. You just can't score any goals. And I think that, taking a risk would be intriguing. Yeah, keeping Cowan would be really intriguing if you could keep him as the 13th forward. I don't really know the rules well enough to know if they can waive him as a rookie. I don't know those rules. So, he can't be sent down to the Marlies, but they paper him so that he's not on the roster, and then he comes up, paper him back and forth. I don't really know those rules. Biehner, you might, but yeah, if they can keep him at least to the World Juniors and see how he goes and get in for 10 games, that'd be a win for the Leafs. I think something's got to give, and I think it's kind of this blessing in disguise that what's his name from La Paz is injured and probably isn't coming back till December. So it kind of is fortunate in a weird way for a guy like potentially Yarncroc. To be honest, he's probably the guy who stays. But we'll see.
Easton Cowan is waiver exempt.
Yeah.
Just check.
So his contract would definitely be waiver exempt. So that meaning he wouldn't have to be put on waivers so no one could claim him. But if he's not on the Leafs roster, then he is in junior.
But can he just be papered so he's not on the roster and then brought back? Like, you know what I mean by that? So he's not playing for anybody. He's just skating with the team. That's the rule I don't know. Like, can you just be taken off the 23-man roster and put back on if you're U20 on an entry-level deal? Like, those are the rules I don't know. And
Cowan's 22 though, so I think he doesn't qualify for any of that stuff anymore.
No, there's no way he's 22.
He's 19. Yeah, he's 19. Yeah. So he.
Sorry, I was looking at when his contract expires. My bad.
You're good. You're good. Cap friendly. Please bring back cap friendly.
It says expiry
yes.
status age 22. That's why.
Yeah.
I'm not used to reading Puckpedia. There's so many little things that, it's cool. It's just like I'm getting used to reading a new page.
Not as good.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
I just want to bring it back to Patches for a sec. So the report came out that they were looking at either JVR or Patches, but that Pacioretty fell higher on their list, I guess, of what they were looking for. Now, I've had him in fantasy. Like you, I love him. Just for some reason, I have a soft spot for Pacioretty. I don't know if it's after I watched him almost die on the ice when Chara ran him through the glass there, but I've always just kind of had a soft spot for him. So I know this guy, if he's playing, he's like a point and a half player, but he could play like 30 games and that's it. So, like, I get that maybe some of those things looked promising, but could you maybe not take the swing at somebody like JVR that's not as injury prone and could probably play the 82 games if you need him to?
Well,
like, I just think that's a safer
JVR is
bet.
a lock in Columbus. He just signed a deal there, so.
Well, I know, but before they offered Patches the PTO, it was that he was interested in coming and they were talking to him, but they ended up going with Patches instead, is at least what I read. But
no, you're right. JVR was number 2. I think the issue with Berube and maybe the management of the team, Treliving is kind of like, let's go with somebody we haven't tried instead of a guy we've tried. There's kind of like that adage, repeating the same thing over and over, expecting different results. JVR is a great player and very well liked, and he's going to fit really well in Columbus. But I think I don't know. I like this Max idea. I don't know if it's not perfect, but having a vet with experience, with played in Vegas, went to the finals, didn't win, and then was the captain in Montreal. I think it's a fit in Toronto specifically. He's got a lot to prove. So I think it's a nice little fit. And you're right. Why not go with somebody who's a little bit more proven? But they're going to get a guy who's probably, if he was a little healthier last year, he probably would have signed for $2 to $3 million, and they're probably going to get him for $1 million. So
yeah, they do have a good medical staff, so you hope that you can rehab him better than another team could, and maybe Patches is hoping the same thing, that he's going to get the best treatment.
Do they have a better medical team? Do they? Like, that seems like a stretch to me now.
I mean, what we saw in that All or Nothing documentary, when they had that thing hooked up to Muzzin, and we saw behind the scenes of like what they do to the guys that are injured, it seemed like they had a pretty high tech situation going on versus like what I assume like Columbus or Arizona has.
Fine, but
I guess Utah now.
I think there's 30, like, of the 32 teams, every one of those teams has, except for maybe like Ottawa. No offense, Ottawa.
They actually mentioned on the game tonight that Andlauer just put a shit ton of money down on a new medical center for them.
They hired a chiropractor finally. Yeah, it's good. I think most teams have the like top sports science people in North America now, and Toronto's, I don't know, it's kind of stuff that this hockey paw thing, how it all came to pass. Yeah, I'm not going to bore you with my day job, but in my normal line of work, I know a little bit about return to work, and the story is a little odd. The knee injury that doesn't need, like, did he have surgery? Did he not? Can he play again, or can he? Or like, what's the deal? So, I think going through that twice in 2 years with Treliving is kind of interesting, and maybe just overconfident with the medical staff and then not really understanding the truth of injuries and sports science and what these guys can actually do. And I don't know. So
to get fleeced by the same team on the same position twice, 2 years in a row with the same injury, like, fool me once, like, come on, Brad.
Yeah, totally. And I totally agree with you. It's like, I think there's some kind of funky there, but Hockey-Paw, if he works out, he's probably the seventh defenseman behind Benoit. The team has a lot of good defensemen right now. Like, even this Weber kid, I didn't like him tonight, but I think they've got a lot of guys, like even Niemela, who I really, I like Topi, and I hope he gets in for a game or two in the next few preseason games, because I think that kid's going to be, he's probably going to be our replacement for Benoit eventually, or maybe Liljegren if Liljegren doesn't pan out this year. We'll see, but the future is bright.
I could see Topi definitely as a Lily replacement. I didn't mind Weber. He's kind of that weird age, and like the kids, he's like 6'7".
He's big.
It takes a while for that size of a player, especially a defenseman in the NHL, to look normal on the ice. Like, look at Pronger's first handful of games. Look at Charo's first handful of games. They were like Bambi out on the ice, right? Like, you give him time to bulk up and get some weight behind him, and I think we could have a steal of a young defenseman here.
Yeah, 6'7" is just absolutely ludicrous to be playing hockey.
Yeah, he's 6'7" every time he gets on the ice. So I like that famous quote.
Now, do they measure their height in skates? Like, is that the posted height?
They want you to think.
That's what I always wonder, because you see their heights change all the time. And I'm like, are you just like getting different blades on to give them an extra half inch? Like, what happened here?
Yes,
technically, whatever they're listed as should be their height without skates.
Okay, sure.
Because they used to say that Chara was like 6'9" or something with skates.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Like, if he's 6'7", I mean, that's probably about another inch and a half in blade and skates. Like, my God, what a tower. But yeah, I think the hope is that a lot of these younger guys that are cheaper can bump out some of the like $1-2 million deals, so you can sign somebody like, obviously they have to offer Pacioretty a contract. He's just on a PTO at this point. And
Well, they don't have to. Like, that's the one
well, they
thing.
don't have to, but it seems like something that
Foregone
they,
conclusion.
yeah, if things continue on this path, it would be a decent decision to make.
I'm making a guess that somebody will get waived or traded at the end of camp, and that somebody will be the three men we've talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Whether Yarncroc, Kampf, or Reeves, or three, or Timmins, somebody's going out for patches.
Yeah.
Or there's an
Especially,
injury, right?
yeah, especially if they're going to commit to putting Willie at center. We were saying before we hopped on, like that obviously pushes the centerman down a whole slot and probably pushes somebody right out of the lineup. So
You know,
we'll see how that goes.
It's funny you bring that up, Roscoe. You know, can we swear on this podcast?
Oh yeah, it's
The
the late
fucking-
night. That's
okay,
that's
the
why I
fucking
named it
guy-
late night.
The fucking guy hurts his wrist, and then who's taking faceoffs for the rest of the game is Domes. So Willie wasn't even the center in the end, like after all of that. But he did score one, but I don't know.
Yeah. Look, we saw the comment from him. He chuckled about why Keefe didn't play him longer at center than one game. He's like, I have to ask him about that. So obviously Berube is a little more committed to it. We'll see how much more committed. I don't think it'll make it out of camp, but hey,
Well, he wasn't even committed enough to leave him at center for the entire game. So like, what's the fucking problem, bud?
yeah. This is my point. They might try it again next game, but like I don't see it coming out of camp that they're sticking with it. We have this conversation, every year, every other year. I'm just glad we're doing it in training camp instead of like between game 82 and game 3 of the first round. We're like, what if we put Willie at center? What if we try that out right now after we just spent an entire season not doing that? Like, just get it out of the way now so we know once and for all.
Well, we also have, like, if you're looking at the lower end of the lineup, you have Holmberg. Holmberg's proven he can take faceoffs, he can play center. Dewar's proven he can play center. Even McMahon can play a little bit of center. So,
yeah,
realistically, between all those players, it kind of makes camp, disposable, I guess.
Especially at $2.4 million.
There's a lot of money there. I agree. I think something's got to give, and they're just gonna like. That's the other thing. You just brought up two players that I completely forgot about. No offense, Bobby McMahon. I love Bobby McMahon. That kid. I made up a song with my kids, and I shouted, "Who's our man?" And they should, Bobby McMahon. Who's our man? It's Bobby McMahon. Anyway,
that's awesome.
I think that. Yeah, I think you're right. This is one of the actually most fascinating camps in a few years. Although I think 2019 was interesting. That was one where we had extra guys too, and this one feels like there's even more than that. I don't know, like, and good player. Like, there's some real legitimate NHL players in the forward group that could make it, and I don't know what happens here. We'll see what the B group looks like. Are they playing tomorrow night or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
What is it, the Sens again? And I think they're playing here.
Yeah,
I was going to get tickets,
Ottawa.
but I'm working.
It's going to be
lame. Yeah. It's just Ottawa, Montreal, and Detroit. Yeah. I like this whole, like, you don't get to see everybody. It's just about, seeing your team against another team instead of getting the plays on everybody early on.
Well, I think the reason they've done this, now that I know from the Frege podcast, the 32 Thoughts podcast, they do same day travel for preseason, so that's why they're doing it this way.
Got it.
I didn't know that.
That makes sense.
I didn't know that until I'm just like guessing based on what we're talking about. I haven't really thought about preseason. I barely ever watch it. I watch like a period or two. You can't really get anything out of it other than, that's a person and that's his number. You know what I mean? It's like you get a fight here and there with a rook, and
a lot of fights, a lot of penalties tonight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Riley's still making some questionable plays.
Look at
that. I love Mo, but
OEL looked a little rusty too.
That's what I thought too. I thought there was a couple plays that were okay, and then the rest of it, I was like, that's why he got run out of town. There it is.
Well, I liked what I saw from him tonight.
OEL should not be playing 25 minutes a night. He's not your top pairing guy. He should be on the bottom pairing or maybe the second pairing. I mean, he's going to be on the second pairing. But yeah, luckily there are some defensemen who can slide up and down the bottom two pairings. So yeah, William Lagesson was on the first pairing last year. I don't know if you guys remember that. We had last year's defense was worse, I think, than I thought at the time. My extreme blue bias kicked in so much.
The defense last year was horrible.
It's bad.
I'm trying to find time on ice, but I don't think they track it on here for preseason, or at least NHL's site is just a pain in the ass to find it on.
Oh, that's just a bad website.
OEL. But yeah, I can't find it. He was -2 tonight. McCabe was -4. But Riley Tanev, if we're going to stay on the defense, Riley Tanev looked like a pretty good pair finally. I think we might have found a partner for Mo.
Tanev is a great player. It's a weird example, or a weird story, but I remember I went to a couple of Canucks games when he was playing, and I was always like, Tanev's killer. Like, that player is great. So I actually heard not a decade ago, but a long time ago, like 7 years ago, that Tanev wanted to trade him to Toronto, and he said no, he didn't want to play for the Leafs. So it's really interesting he's playing for the Leafs now. So he mustn't have liked somebody in the within the old team, but anyway, I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, you never know. Because I do recall hearing a couple of years ago, there was an offer for him. You're right. What else do we have on the docket here? I mean, Domi looked good. Matthews is obviously kind of half trying to look good. You mentioned your boy Mitchie had a good night. Nice pass over to Nyes there. Hello.
Hello.
Where those people?
I'm talking about the Leafs. It's my eldest daughter. Her favorite.
Adorable.
Say who your favorite player is into the mic. Yeah, get out of here with that.
Get out of here.
Okay, what else? There was some news and things that happened, but I have the Fanatics jerseys up if we want to talk about that. Was there anything else you guys want to cover here?
I like them.
Okay, let's
I
go
want
to that
to see him
then.
in person.
Let me share.
But I'm really picky on my jerseys. I say as I've got my Uncle Leo jersey in honor of Kuhlman playing tonight.
So here it is. We got the practice, the breakaway, the premium, and the authentic pro. So if you can't read this because it's super zoomed in, practice visually mirrors the on-ice practice and training camp jerseys. Same fit fabric as the breakaway jersey, twill with direct embroidery NHL shield. So it's like an official practice one, which, I get it. It's another option. I don't know. I wouldn't see anybody really buying them, but it's there.
Yeah. With the breakaway one, to me, that looks like what the Fanatics ones were last year.
Yeah.
So you have your cheaper, like your more entry-level jersey for people who want a jersey, but they don't necessarily need it to be as on-ice authentic as some people are. Not everybody's as psychotic as me when it comes to jerseys.
Yeah, and it says it comes in tunic length, specifically designed for women. Lightweight, flexible, easy to fold. So it's, something you can fold up and put in your drawer, right? Same great fabric offered in previous years. Get out of here, Fanatics. Don't try to sell me that shit. Premium, a more fitted body than the authentic pro jersey, but larger than breakaway. So you got a holographic NHL shield on the front and back. Same durable fit, fabric, and graphic techniques as authentic pro jersey. So it's somewhere between a breakaway and an authentic one.
Do you know what the cost differences are? Have you looked at this, Biehner?
Yeah, I was trying to. I was hoping it would be in the same graphic here. So the practice is 140 Canadian. The authentic pro is 500. The breakaway is 160 and 200 with a name. Oh my gosh, they ordered this so weird. Premium is 200 blank and 250 with a name. So it's, 140. So say you wanted them with a name, all of them. It's 200, 250, and 500 for these, for breakaway, premium, authentic.
realistically, it's price-wise, it's not that much different than previous years. I think the premium might actually be a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I
I'd
think
have to
some of the
go.
named ones last year were like 275 to 300.
Yeah.
So but they're also not consistent. Like I remember, depending on the name, it was a different price. So if they're gonna make it the same, then okay.
Well, like that. So you just take the Leafs, for example. You have Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, probably Riley, where they're going to have 500 of them made up ahead of time. So then those ones will be the 250. And say you want to go, Marty wants to go and buy a Patches jersey. Well, they're going to have to make that one specifically for him. So it's going to be a little higher.
Right. Well, I don't know. What I'm seeing here is that it's kind of funny. I just saw a reel on Instagram the other day, one of those like marketing people talking about how things are done. And they said when you have like a small, medium, and large of a drink, if you want to sell more mediums, you make it look like it's, you put it in closer price to the small so that it looks like it's not that much more than a small to get quite a bit more of the product. If you want to sell more larges, make the medium closer in price to the large so that it's like not that much more to get a lot more and you sell more of the large, Like you always have an expensive version of something for people that are wanting to just spend the money and have a budget version of something. But like by having different options, you sell more of them. Like it just optically pushes stuff. Like if you like, for example, if you're looking at this and you go, there's a $500 authentic jersey. Wow. $250 for the premium one doesn't sound that bad. Whereas like that premium one on its own without everything beside it at $250 seems a little crazy, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't even think I would spend 500 on a jersey.
But when you put it beside all these other things and call it authentic pro and it's above premium, then you're selling luxury at that point. Like everything on this is done specifically for marketing purposes and to sell stuff. And I know that's the point, obviously, but like this is like jerseys done in a lab, if you will. This isn't just we're making stuff available. It's like, how can we tailor this to make the most money? And there's just something about that rubs me the wrong way. I know it's all business and everything, but like it's just part of this new wave of like having consultants tell you how to do it better. I don't know. I'm getting nerdy for a sec, but that's the shit that makes me angry. All these companies hire the same like 5 firms to tell them how to sell things, and they all do the same tactics. Anyway, I'm just interested to see if the authentic $500 one, like I'm not going to buy one, but I want to see somebody buy one and tell me if it's actually like good quality. Like I want to see if you get a name spelled wrong for $500. Like how is Fanatics' previous reputation going to hold up to these new jerseys? Did you see the video where they handed Matthews his new captain jersey?
Like the Fanatics video. I saw obviously the press conference. I haven't seen that video enough.
So the Fanatics one, they have this woman, I forget her name. She made, she's from the like people that designed the jerseys for over the years, and now she's working with Fanatics. And so she pulls out like the Screaming Eagle Ovechkin jersey, and she's like, "What do you think of when you see this?" And he's like, "Oh, I was at the game when he scored that goal on his back. It's pretty sweet, eh?" Like, "Oh, yeah, Austin Matthews. It's pretty cool." That's my Matthews impression. So she's like, "I had a hand in designing that jersey, and here's yours that I also had a hand in designing." And it's like, "Oh, that's so cool! Like you made this one too. Wow, that's awesome." So he pulls it out, and they try to like make this big. I don't know. They're just like romanticizing it. It just seems like they're trying so hard to make people think that they're going to handle this well. And I feel like the best way the Fanatics can do this is just be quiet and do it well. You don't have to like put a bunch of money into commercials and show how much that's like, look how much we care about the history of hockey and, all these moments that we're going to have a hand in and, all these celebrations, we're going to be a part of it. Just make jerseys that are good and people won't make fun of you. That's it. That's it. Don't spend all this money on commercials. Spend it on your product. That's all you need to do.
You're not wrong.
I know I'm not. I'm just fucking angry. That's all. That's all I have to say about Fanatics and the jerseys. I've just some people sent that in. I actually want to shout out. I think it was Fun Guy. Yeah, Southpaw Cal, NHL cash grab. He called it.
Yeah,
Do
we'll
we
have
any?
to see how it turns out. Obviously, I'm not holding my breath because the issues they've had in the past has been really, really obvious. So it kind of makes me worried a little bit. But at the end of the day, we have no control over it.
Yeah. We have a way too early take from somebody on X here, formerly Twitter. Hate calling it that. At McDuster705, Dusty says Patch is wearing 67, scores the game-winning goal to send the Leafs to the third round. I love that he's wearing 67. Like, there's just something so nice about that.
Yeah, it's not a lot of guys have wore it for the Leafs. I think the last was Robert Svella back in the early thousands.
I don't even remember that player.
Well, yeah, you were still a baby at that point, Roscoe. Like, come on now.
Robert Savella played for the Leafs in 2003, so pre-lockout. Yeah.
Yeah, he had like one season for us, and he was great.
I don't remember much pre-lockout, unfortunately. Anyway.
But
I'm just a baby. A 30-year-old baby. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, to wrap up the first preseason game, like, it's great to be back. I've been itching. I didn't realize how much I was missing it. I thought maybe I wasn't. But no, I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah. Nice scoring that
Marty
first goal. Oh my God. It was like seeing a Leaf goal again after so long was just like, I forgot how much I missed this. The feeling is so nice.
Yeah. As Marty touched on, it's going to be a really interesting camp. I personally would really love if we could squeeze Patches in. I know it's just one game, and I know I've chirped him in the past for being made out of glass, but
we have had many segments on this show calling him the Glass Man.
Yeah. Having him here, there's a potential that it can work really well. You're not going to want him to, like, you're not going to be playing him 20 minutes a night for 82 games. That's not what you're expecting if you're signing a player like him. If we could get him up, I really, really want Cowan to make the team. That's just me being a little greedy. I love the kid. He plays with a little bit of a bite. He's got a wicked shot. I think it could be really good for his development and for the team. And then Grebby, because I can never pronounce his name right, Grebanotkin.
Yeah, let me pull it up, because that was... I know you're calling him Grebby, but I'm like, what the... I saw his name, but I didn't even give it a shot. Let's try this. Nikita Grebyankin, right? Grebyankin? Grebynkin. Grebyankin.
I think that's it. I'm just going to call him Grebby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grubby
but
little
then
fingers.
we also get to the point where we're putting too many people on the team, right? Like, if you take Reeves off, you take Yaron Krok off, well, then you have Patches and Grebby. Well, where's Cowan going?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we run out of spots really, really quickly. Now, I know you always have to have extra guys around, but it's going to be interesting unless, who knows, there was rumors out there that Robertson only signed to get games in and before he can be traded. I don't want to lose Nicky Bobby. I still think he's got a lot of great potential too, but he wasn't given the chance under Keefe.
He wasn't given
really
the chance, and he's getting to the point where he's, going to cost a little more money if they want to keep him around, and there's going to be guys that are fighting for the spot that might produce more for less money, and that's just the reality of the league. Like, he might just get... It sucks that injuries and a lack of chances might just kill any shot this kid had at really making it, because, like, if they pass on him and go to somebody else, like, he doesn't really have much behind him. Another team's going to have to take a pretty big chance on him to see if there's anything there. It'll probably be Dallas, to be honest, but someone's going to have to really put the work in to get him somewhere again.
Yeah, to be able to go play with his brother, that would be a very real possibility.
Speaking of brothers playing, Alex Nylander's Marley, do we have any way to bring them up for preseason, or, like, what's the deal there?
He'll probably get into a preseason game or two. But at this point, he's only signed as a Marley. So to play in the regular season, he would have to sign a contract with us.
Yeah, and as Em and Eric here in the chat says, injuries will probably create spots. I think there's going to be a lot of competition this year, like we said with Marty on. There's a lot more guys that have a lot to show, so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out through the rest of camp here. One last thing I want to talk about before we go. Kyle Okposo retired like 3 days ago. I just want to give a shout out. Had a great career. Came back from a crazy eye injury. Didn't he get like a stick or something or a skate to the eye? He was out for a bit. Puck to the eye?
I thought it was a puck.
Puck to the eye, yeah. And it was like really bad. One of those things that you don't expect somebody to come back from, and to come back and play like many seasons after and was effective. It's sad day when people retire.
Well,
Also,
he
sorry.
spoke out too about having some mental health issues when all that was going down too. So him and Robin Leonard were kind of some of the first players to come out and openly talk about that, which is really good to get that out in the open and bring it up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It says hospitalized remainder of this. You're right. I forgot about all that. 2017. Yeah, true. Good memory and shout out there. He is not the only one who announced retirement. Jaromir Jagr says this is his last season, but everyone said we'll believe it when you actually take the skates and jersey off. So we'll see.
I think this will be it, because there's still a 3-year waiting period for the Hall of Fame. So because he's playing professional hockey,
right?
It's like third tier in friggin' Finland, but it's professional hockey. So he's technically not eligible to be voted into the Hockey Hall of Fame until 3 years after he retires, which would put him to what, 2028?
So why did Shea Weber get in?
He hasn't played for 3 years.
He's not retired. Anyway, he's under contract.
He hasn't played for 3 years.
That's so dumb. That is so dumb.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because I guess because after it was waived for Gretzky, they said no more. They're not waiving the waiting period for anybody after that.
Right. Some other people. Yeah. Sorry. Go on. Finish.
Oh, I was just gonna say they didn't want to create an even larger tier of these guys are all in the Hall of Fame, but this guy, and this guy had it waived. They didn't have to wait.
Yeah, a bunch of asterisks just kind of ruins the legitimacy of the Hall of Fame. Other people retiring: Alex Stalock, Antti Ranta, Chris Weidman, Alex Goligoski, and Mark Stahl, all calling it a career. Some pretty big names, There's always people that hang it up. I saw, wasn't it Turris or somebody else? Ennis, one of those guys, also hung it up.
But I think Ennis did, yeah.
And he hadn't played in a while, but yeah, it's always sad to see these guys when, some guys play until their 40s and other guys, it's, they ran out of steam at 34 and nobody needs them anymore. So it's, what, I'll call it. No use just kicking around for league men or fighting for a spot on the team. I've made my money and had my time. Be nice to retire at 34, eh?
You're telling me I'd be done next year?
Yeah. What's Okposo? 36? Nice. Antti Ranta, 35. Stalock, 37. Like, could you imagine?
The only thing with some of those players is, like, Stalock, for example, he'd been around for a while, but I don't think he ever made big bank. Like, yes, hundreds of thousands of dollars to play hockey is very good money. I'm not trying to say it's not, but
no, I get
also
it. Like,
now
not retirement money, right? It's not like 60 years of not working money.
Yeah, especially when he's like, a lot of these guys, when they retire, especially when they're retiring, even if they haven't made a ton of money, it's because they physically can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So then you're dealing with health issues for the rest of your life.
Stalock, estimated career earnings per Puckpedia is just under $12.5 million. That's before all the fees and everything. So that's probably closer to like 4 or 5 million after taxes and agents and all that shit. and training and spending it on yourself. What I mean by spending on yourself, I mean spending on like, gear and nutrition and things for the job. So you're probably taking home after 12 and a half, closer to 4. You can't retire, I don't think, you could, but not at the lifestyle that you're living as an NHL player. Like, you're probably going to have to find something else to do. I was actually talking about that with my fiance. It was like, what can these guys do? Because like Matt Murray he's my age, like literally the same age, and got double hip surgery to continue playing hockey to come back. And I was thinking about, like, in what I do, if something happened to me that I couldn't do it anymore, would I go through a surgery like that to continue doing it? Because like him, I'm in a field where like it doesn't really have a fallback into something else. Like, I'm in the film industry, I can only really do that. He's a hockey player, he can kind of really only do that. So, I get it, I guess. It made me sympathize with it a little bit, but it's crazy to think about, they don't really have something else to do. What do? Sell cars or houses or something after?
Well, that's why you see a lot of guys get into scouting or on the media side. Like, if they have a little bit of charisma, a little bit of personality, they get into media. And some of them do really, really well.
Very few of them have any personality, but yes, that's true. There's a lot that stick around, like within the sport. There's a lot of trainers and all that kind of stuff. But I'm talking the other guys that you got to find something that's paying decent, and there's only so many jobs in the NHL too. Who was it that we found that was like making dog food with his wife? They were making like all natural dog food. We did like a whole "Where Are They Now" segment on him, and I totally forget who it was.
We did. Yeah, I can't remember who it is.
Anyway,
but like that's why there's been a lot of debate lately over which path is the better path to take, CHL or NCAA, because realistically, like Sonia and I used to talk about it all the time. If Patrick ever grew up and wanted to be a hockey player, and if there was ever the chance that he was good enough, like we would have wanted him to take NCAA, because then at least then you can get an education out of it. Like, CHL started to step up with programs that, after players play, they have so long to get into, post-secondary schooling. But I really do think that you're going to see a lot more players try to head the NCAA route just for that fact. There's so few that get to make life-altering money from playing in the NHL that you need to have some form of fallback.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we're talking about a lot of money, but we're also talking about you can't work past, like we just said, potentially as early as 30 to 40, right? So you have to be able to spend more than half your life, in some cases, not having an income, and like that's not an easy thing to do. So, by the way, it's Jared Cowan who owns Evolution Raw Dog Food with his wife.
Right.
Oh, good times. Okay. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Let's hit it back for the next preseason. I'm going to be working, so it'll have to be another time. And then I'm getting married on the weekend, and I'm off on my honeymoon for 2 weeks. So I'm actually missing the beginning of the season. I didn't think of it, but I wasn't about to change plans based on the hockey season. Not about to get divorced the week after I got married.
Watch the games on your honeymoon. Like, come on now. She knew what she was getting into.
As I just said, not about to get divorced the week after I got married. So
she knew what she was getting into.
I will be gone until the the Leafs Kings game. So 1, 2, 3 games I'm missing. That's not bad. But hopefully you guys can pick it up. Maybe one of them while I'm gone, and then we'll hit it back full speed when I'm back in the country. So thank you all for listening. Thank you everybody who jumped into the live stream. Thank you, Marty, for jumping on with us. We got Lucas and Em and Eric who are chatting here with us. Leafs Nation, we love you. Have a good night. As Biehner says, talk to you. Is my thing gonna work?
Yeah. Hey, you got it.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Leafs Late Night, your night of post-game podcast. Available after every game on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and more.
I was gonna say shout out to Marty, but he was here and we did that already. So